Welcome everybody back to the Old Gold Show. With you as always, I'm co-manager over at Hammer and Rails, Andrew Ledman.
And I'm Casey Permanent Heel Bartley at Boiler Upload Rivals Network.
He is rocking the Bret Hart-esque sunglasses once again, ready to go. But, this time he was all right about Michigan. Michigan, very bad. Purdue walks away from Mackey Arena with a 99-67 victory, with the bench mob playing, quite a few minutes in the second half. Braden Smith and Zach Edey getting some of that sweet, sweet rest that we talked about in the last episode that they needed. And, this one was it was not really a basketball game for most of it.
It's very rare that, so I put the AirPods in now with the noise cancellation. So like the games are muted to me anyway. And there was plenty to cheer about for Purdue. It sounded loud, but like internally, like usually like good basketball games, good basketball, big plays, like even if I'm not rooting or cheering for a team, like the heart still gets going, there's some excitement. There was none. Like there was awesome plays and like that's cool and Purdue looked good and that's good. But it was just like at no point did Michigan threaten to make it a basketball game. No point did Michigan look like a basketball team. Juwan Howard, instead of, coming to the press conference after the game where, all the opposing coaches usually do, he did it outside the locker room.
That's what I heard.
While Purdue players were going. So it's just didn't get a chance to talk, see how his day is going. See how he's feeling.
Not great, I bet. Not great, I bet. Although Harbaugh leaving was probably good for him. Takes a lot of the focus off him for a little bit of time while they do their coaching search. So less focus on him, probably the better.
It might not be good for him because it could be a dry run and they could figure out, oh, hey, it's not that hard to find a new coach.
Yeah. There's
we already
got
the people in the room. Do you guys want to look for a second? Just bring another one in.
It's like a 2-for-1.
The round ball this time. The round one.
Yeah, not the oblong ball, but the round ball. Yeah, we'll do that. It's not a bad idea. Get those people in a room. You get two coaches at once. You just never know.
Yeah, it's not often limited at the end of the game. Like, first of all, it's a late game, so it's like by the time media and everything's done, it's like midnight. So like, there's always the internal struggle of like, do I write something now so it goes out at 2 a.m. or do I just wake up early and write something? And after that game, literally, I had nothing to say. It was, I think the biggest thing is something we touched on last time. Pretty much the only thing that happened is something that you talked about and you said earlier here, and it's something we talked about last week. It's just Braden Smith and Zach Edey, those guys, they didn't have to play 35, 36, 37 minutes. I think, I'll talk to Painter tomorrow, and I think I'm going to ask him just like, how important is that just to get those kind of moments where you can give their bodies a break? You never really get a good answer because like you can never admit really like
right.
The body's breaking down.
Yeah, he's
like,
tired.
I put on a lot of minutes. Like Braden admitted to it after the Iowa game. Like, yeah, I'm tired at the end of the game, but like they want to be out there, they want to play. So like you're not gonna get it. But like if you can consistently steal, like Purdue has a pretty light schedule in terms of games coming up the next couple of weeks. They've got 3-4 days in a row, and that's kind of the big thing where you need those days of just strict recovery. And with this being a little more mature team, I think they're taking better advantage of that. But to just not put all that game time on your body and to get a little time here in February, it should be good for the team going forward.
Still January, by the way. Still January.
What did I say? February?
You said here in February.
God, the schedule lightens up in February.
There you go.
Which I'm sure is what I said.
Yeah, I'll go with it.
File a complaint against me, Ledman.
I will. So, as you said, it was good to see those guys get fewer minutes, but still produce. Right. Braden Smith had an absolutely great game. Didn't miss a shot. Wound up with double figures, and also double-digit assists. Great number of rebounds. Just overall, a really great game for him. Zach Edey started out really slow. Didn't score for quite a while. Still wound up with a double-double because he is Zach Edey. But I thought it was really great the way Purdue responded when Edey was not scoring, because that's not something that we've seen. Purdue hasn't had many games where that has happened, and to see them step up and, take a big lead, granted, against a very bad Michigan team. So you got to keep that in
Mhm.
mind with anything we talk about today. Was encouraging to me that it shows that this, we know this because we watch every game. But for a lot of folks, they just think it's a Zach Edey team, and you just stop him, and Purdue can't do anything. But I mean, you saw in this game, it's just not the case.
Yeah, I think the one, or not just the one, but one of the things you can really take away is that good, bad, semi mediocre teams like Purdue's offense gets the same shots for the most part. Like
Yeah,
Lance Jones is getting open for three. Fletcher Lawyer is getting open for three. Smith has those pull ups. Edie's getting looked inside. So last year, they were getting them against every team. They were just missing them against every team.
yeah,
And this year,
yeah.
they're getting them against every team. And they're making them against every team. I mean, Lance Jones is starting to
Oof,
look like a real problem.
yeah,
24 points in 27 minutes, 5 of 9 from three, really getting confident out there. Had the 3 steals, obviously. Um, like that's the if we went into a lab last summer, what did Purdue need? You would design a guy like Lance Jones.
yeah.
You might make him 4 inches taller because why not? But like that is the exact kind of play, the intensity, the shot making, the just quickness, everything that you really want that makes this offense just whirl around. Because like at this point, Braden Smith and Zach Edey are so good
Mhm.
that Purdue just needs 1 or 2 guys a night to step up.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and it's rotated. It's
it
rotated who it
has,
is. I mean,
but it's also like Mason Gillis has been more consistent and better this
yeah.
year. Trey Kaufman Wren has been a lot better this
Oh, a
year.
lot better. Yeah,
Fletcher Lawyer has been better this year. Camden Heide is better than what Purdue had off the bench last season.
yeah,
And Lance Jones has gotten better and better as the season has gone on. And he's starting to look like an absolute dangerous just dude on the outside for him.
yeah,
And it totally changes the court dynamic and just everything for this offense and team.
yeah. I mean, I know. So speaking of Lance Jones, I know we both love David Jenkins Jr., who was, the 1 year player last year. But this is my opinion. I want to see if you agree. Lance Jones has to have been the most impactful 1 year player under Matt Painter.
It's him and John Octius.
Yeah,
Um, John Octius did a lot. His counting stats aren't going to be as good, but like the amount of control and stuff he had to do on offense and be a dynamic defensive player, like he did a lot. The team just wasn't as good. It
right.
didn't matter quite as much. But those are 1-2 by far. And I think
Yeah,
Lance Jones is just like talk about just a perfect fit for this team and like the ability that like it's just exponential growth for the ceiling of this team with the way he's playing right now.
yeah. The only other 1 year player I could think of was Spike Albrecht. He did a lot for this team, but he wasn't
Yeah,
he
bench
wasn't
guy.
like an impact guy. Yeah, like Lance Jones has been. So, I mean, just an
Jihad
absolutely
Proctor,
incredible.
baby.
Hey, he got the job done. He got the job done. We
What
needed
was
some
the
help. He
job?
brought some help. Basically a body.
Okay.
There.
He scored a
I'm not
lot.
here. Yeah, I'm not here to dump on Jihad Proctor.
You
Um,
know who I liked? Talk about texting random guard names. Sterling
yeah,
Carter.
I remember that guy.
Enjoyed
Yeah,
Sterling Carter. Built like a little running back, like
yeah.
5'11", towards ACL, I believe, halfway
I
through the
believe that.
season. But
I think that
he
sounds
was a
right.
fun guy. He was explosive.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, this Michigan team not very good. Purdue gets to play them one more time later in the year. They got to go to Michigan. That means Michigan will have their leading scorer in that game because he's not allowed to travel on the road for whatever reason. Uh, who knows?
Academics, Ledman.
Are we
You
sure
can't
about
afford
that?
to be away from practice or from classes and homework. You got to be. He's
Okay.
grounded, Ledman. He's not
Yeah.
suspended. He's grounded.
I mean, when he put it out on Instagram, he called it a 6 game away game suspension. So I'm using, I think, his words.
I,
Um,
I think grounded are the better words.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's like you can
Everyone would
come,
understand what grounded meant. Like you
yeah,
still
you're
get
grounded.
dinner when you're
You
grounded.
can't leave the
If
house.
someone comes to the house, you
Yeah,
still get to see them. You don't have to lock yourselves like in your bedroom.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be a more interesting game when the two meet up later in the year in Ann Arbor.
No, it
But
won't.
hold on, It'll be a more
Oh,
interesting game, but I don't
it'll be
expect the
more
out.
inconvenient because I have to drive my ass to Ann Arbor.
And it'll probably cause Braden Smith and Zach Edey to play more minutes, which will be inconvenient.
Maybe.
So
But
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, a 32-point in victory in conference, that's tough to get. I mean, that's
I'm not in the mindset to hand out respect to teams that
oh
don't
no, hey,
deserve it. Okay.
hey,
I'm just not
I'm
here
not
for it.
showing that respect. I'm just saying it'll be different when they have their leading scorer.
No, I don't
I
think
don't.
it will be.
Okay, fair enough. If Purdue wins by 32 on the road, I mean, we'll come back to this topic, but I
Mhm.
don't see that happening. So, anything else that kind of impressed you about this Michigan game? There are two things that I want to at least mention.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Really excited that Miles Colvin came off the bench, 3 for 3 from deep.
Oh, are we gonna make drama out of this?
No, people on Twitter need to just stop it. First of all, you can't read lips like that. You don't know what he's
Well,
saying.
he definitely said that.
Oh no, I think
Let's
he might
not
have
make
said
that argument.
no. I think he might have said something else.
No,
But
I don't care.
like, yeah, who cares?
If you've played
He's
basketball
a
at any
player who
point,
wants the ball.
yeah, like here's the thing. When you're on a basketball court, you as a person know every second that you're open because you're there. You exist. And because you exist in that moment, and not everyone else is ever present to your existing and
Right.
being open at every second, they are going to miss you at times.
Yeah.
And that's basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's frustrated.
Oh yeah.
He's never had to sit before in his life. I
No.
don't care. It's fine. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's weird to say at this point, you couldn't have convinced me in like 10 years ago that if Purdue had a 4-star like Miles Colvin and then lost him, that it wouldn't just do like terrible harm to the
Just
program.
irreparable damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
irreparable damage. Purdue would be fine if the worst did happen.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
obviously not ideal. It's not what anyone wants.
And it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, like that's not the concern. It's a moment of frustration that got caught on camera. So now we gotta tweet and make videos about it and be like, oh my god.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they know everybody's body language, and they're like, "Well, he wasn't cheering." It's like, shut up.
His
Shut up.
dad was in a perfectly good mood after the game.
Right.
And
Yeah.
guess what? His father played in the NFL for how long?
Quite a
He
few years.
knows, like, Miles has been tutored, taught, talked about real issues. And
Right.
playing time as a true freshman is not a real issue.
No. No.
Not there.
It's not
On the
gonna.
number one team in the country. What are
Well,
you arguing about?
number
Like,
two. Number two.
if you're you have to if you think this is a real issue, you are saying one of two things. Miles Colvin is a diva that is literally just out for himself, or B, that he is too dumb to realize that this is a national title team with like 11 guys that should be playing.
Right.
And like the minutes are literally just not there. And I don't believe either of those things
No, I don't
out of
either.
that guy, because Miles Colvin is a very smart individual, knew what he signed up for, is on an awesome team. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, Painter
Perfectly
basically said as much. Not talking about Colvin, but talking about Waddell after his dunk, which was the other thing I wanted to mention. Just
do you think like in his head, because there's no chance Juwan Howard knows who Brian Waddell is. He did not get 11 deep on his prep. No
I can't
chance.
imagine. No.
Do you think who the hell is this walk on throwing jams from the free throw line?
Yeah, he
and
probably did think
obviously
he was
not a walk on.
No,
we all know he's athletic, but looks like a kid. You're like, what? How did that? That's not supposed to happen with 3 minutes left and both benches cleared.
Yeah. I mean, it was a hell of a dunk.
Moments.
Yeah, hell of a dunk. Purdue basketball said it was the 5th loudest moment by decibel reading since 2009, 2010.
And I'm like, Mackey does a good job. Like, it doesn't really clear out early.
Right.
But like, there had to have been some people gone by that point.
You would think.
So like, to still get up to 5, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Mackey,
overall,
like, I was talking to, I think Dylan Sens, Fort Wayne Gazette guy, and he described it as like Assembly Hall is the best environment for big games. Like, they get up the most. And Mackey is just like every day the absolute best. It's not far off. Like, Assembly Hall, when they care, like, it gets very loud. Like, they're in it. to the point where like it's hard to tell like which one you would choose, but Mackey's always at that. So it's like it's every game.
I mean, okay, sure. I mean, I guess I've been to a Purdue IU game at Assembly. It was very loud. I mean, I can't take anything away from that, but it wasn't Mackey Arena, and
Sure.
you won't be able to convince me
I'm
otherwise.
not trying
So
to convince you. I'm just it was an astute point from someone.
that's
And
fine. That's fine.
at the pecking order of schools I hate right now, IU's climbing up the list. No thanks to anything they're doing, but they are no longer at the bottom feeder of programs I want to see burn.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I understand. We're going to take a break, come back, talk about Purdue's next opponent, which is not until Sunday. Purdue going to Piscataway.
That's not the way.
I knew something like that was coming.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 each and every week of the college basketball season. We have a special offer that will be available starting on Tuesday, January 9th and running through Monday, February 12th, the morning after Super Bowl 58. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, in honor of the big game, you can use the bonus code FIELD158 and you'll get $158 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD158. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD158 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create separate accounts in each state. It's easy, it's simple, it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the heart of the college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odd boosts, and my favorite, a nice juicy parlay boost. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today.
Welcome back. We are talking Purdue's next opponent, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Purdue heading over to Jersey Mike's Arena, formerly known as the Rack, to take on Rutgers in a game where Purdue has, struggled as of late when they've gone to New Jersey. They've lost there the last 2 times, I believe, both when they were ranked number 1 in the nation. And then Rutgers also beat Purdue in Mackey recently. Then the two faced each other in the Big Ten tournament last year, where Purdue was victorious on their way to the Big Ten tournament title. But Rutgers not exactly looking very good this year, are they, Casey?
No, I mean, they still look like a Rutgers team, which is defense is like 3 times. Usually the defense is like twice as good as the offense. The offense just kind of gets by between turnovers and like occasional skill. This team just lacks shooting. They don't have a Mulcahy to, create offense. It's a slog and a half court. The defense is just as good. So it's like the defense is 4 times as good as the offense this year.
But that maybe says more about the offense than it does about the defense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember Mulcahy just kept running that same play last year and just scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring on Purdue, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. And then I think Cam Spencer hit like a 3-point shot to win the game against Purdue in one of those games. They don't really have a guy like that this year who can really take over, and that's what gives me the most hope that this losing streak in New Jersey can be snapped. I mean, am I wrong in thinking that, or is that kind of your assessment of the situation?
Rutgers struggles a lot putting the ball in the basket, which is a key component.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's
very important piece.
So like 29.6% from 3. That's 331st in the country.
Purdue is 5th in the country, if I'm remembering correctly, in 3-point percentage.
2-point percentage, 43.7%. That's 350th in the country.
That's very bad.
Free throw percent, 65.6%. 328th. So when you can't shoot, all of a sudden, like, defense becomes pretty easy for other teams.
Right.
And it just makes everything so hard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a Rutgers team with the DNA of teams that give Purdue trouble. And it's not too hard to like map out why they could make Purdue struggle again. I was watching a little bit of both games earlier today and looking at the stats. Like, Braden Smith struggled last year against them. 7 points, 4 assists, 3 turnovers in the home loss. 8 points, 5 assists, 2 turnovers in the tournament. Those are fine numbers, but they're not what you want.
No.
Lawyer was decent at home, scored 10 the first, and then got absolutely blanked in terms of like making field goals against Rutgers in the Big Ten tournament. 4 points, all of them from the free throw line, 0 of 5 from the field.
Oh, wow.
This is the exact blueprint of a team that's going to give those guys trouble because they're long everywhere.
Yeah.
They're used to playing in chaos. Like, they're connected. They are not going to they're not afraid of switching. They're not afraid of rotation. They're going to keep coming after you with bodies after bodies after bodies. And they're going to press you, and they're going to try to turn the ball over. They're 26th best team in the country at forcing turnovers. So it's the exact same defensive blueprint of Rutgers of past. And that's given this Purdue team problems, which is exciting for us, I think, because we get to measure the same team.
Yeah, it's a test.
It is. It's a test to see how much better prepared Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer are to take him. How much does Lance Jones make a difference in this kind of game?
That's what I was going to say.
Because if you want to draw a connection to teams that upset Purdue, like we talk about that a lot, Fairleigh Dickinson played a certain way that was pretty reminiscent of Nebraska, pretty reminiscent of the way Rutgers press all the time, move around, make sure Edey doesn't get the ball. Like, Edey didn't destroy Rutgers in either game. He put 16 points up in the Big Ten tournament, and I believe it was 19 at home. So, like, they're not letting him dictate the game a ton. Omiuri is still there for Rutgers as a big body who's used to going up to Edey. That's valuable. He's been there as long as Edey has. Like, it's valuable to know what you're going up against. And this Rutgers team knows that. So for Purdue, it really comes down to, you can't give them transition because you can't make their life easy on offense. So those turnovers become twice as important because you're giving them a life raft. Like, here, go get a transition bucket. Like, you can't have it. Because not only did, like, Purdue had 13 turnovers in both games, I believe, was it 13 and then 11? But Rutgers had 9 steals in both.
Oof.
So, like, that's more hurtful than, like, throwing it out of bounds.
Throwing it away. Traveling. Yeah, those live ball turnovers can really hurt you, especially, as you said, against a team like Rutgers who is struggling on offense. But, I mean, to mention one thing from the Michigan game that we didn't talk about, Purdue didn't have a turnover in the first half in that game. Yeah. And then it took about 6 or 8 minutes into the second half before they even committed their first turnover. Yeah. So they wound up with only 7 on the game, and one of them was they took a shot clock violation at the end just to respectful.
Like, that's good. Like, obviously, good job, Purdue. But if there's any stat that, like, should embarrass Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
25 minutes against the team before you accidentally make them, like, fall down with the ball.
Right. It was not a good look for Michigan. So, I mean, but that shows me that Purdue is, continually improving on taking care of the basketball. Obviously, the level of defense they'll be seeing against Rutgers versus Michigan is going to be different, but the addition of Lance Jones and being able to take care of the basketball, to be able to break a press, to go after, attack a full court defense, I think will make a difference in this game. And he'll probably have a pretty good game if I had to guess.
Yeah, that and the combo of just, like, Fletcher and Braden now have taken a year of this kind of stuff. It's not new to them anymore either. It'll be interesting. Like, there's bad juju in Jersey.
Yeah.
The Purdue teams have gone there. They're not ranked number 1 this year. So
that's exactly right. And that's the reason they're number 2. They just knew that they were heading to Jersey.
Yeah. So, but I do think it'll be definitely telling how they deal with that kind of stuff. Cause you're talking Hyatt 6'6", Omanyara is, 6'11". Griffiths is 6'8" freshman. Mawat Mag is 6'7". Like they still have all the guys that you're used to. Wolfik is 6'9". Palmquist is 6'8". Derek Simpson 6'3". Like these are big guys. And they swarm. It's the 11th best defense in the country. So it's going to be a lot more valuable than playing a team like Michigan, who is just like bad at everything. They're at least
Right.
elite on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And I don't think Purdue will get scored on. They didn't get scored on in the Rutgers game when they lost. It was like 58-56.
Yeah. It was an ugly game.
Yeah. So just like, can Purdue continue to work it against a team like this? And they couldn't last year consistently.
Right.
Fletcher Loyer would disappear at times. Smith would force things. Saw that a little bit. Northwestern game, the offense was fine. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah. Scored a ton of points. Just
scored
gave
a ton
up
of points.
way too many.
Yeah. A couple turnovers. So like, it's going to be a good test to see. I think this will be more convincing than any of the wins since the last Purdue loss. Just
Okay.
because those games were all against teams that Purdue does well against. And,
Yeah.
it's my theory that like it's a certain type of team that gives Purdue issues.
Yeah.
And I think Rutgers is up there on the top echelon of types of teams that does that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. We as Purdue fans have seen Purdue teams that were like this in the past. Not necessarily elite on defense, I want to make clear, but teams that really struggled on offense, who couldn't shoot the ball, who really were relying on like a star player who wasn't a star player, who was better in a role of a second option or a third option. I'm mainly thinking of the teams where after Robbie Hummel graduated, where we had like DJ Bird as our number one, and you're like, I'm not sure that's really going to
I
work.
don't feel good about this.
Right. So, you try to convince yourself that it'll work, but then you just see that the shooting is not there, the offense is not there. And then when you have a team like that, every game is a grind. You're just like, you're forcing things. You're like, I have to do these things. I have to get to the hoop. I have to get to the line. I have to find a way to manufacture points. And it is hard to do that. So that's the kind of the offensive output I'm expecting from Rutgers. A DJ Bird led Purdue type output.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think Ken Palm has it as 76-64 projection.
Oof.
64 points at home is not a lot.
Yeah, not good. No.
Speaking of, Purdue has taken over number one offensive efficiency, climbing up 13th on defense.
That's pretty. Where is Rutgers on defensive efficiency?
11th.
Okay. Wow, that's
11th.
I did not realize they were that high. So yeah, I mean it should be quite a challenge. But as you know, when we talked to Coach Painter, he said, for some reason we seem to do really well against top defenses. It's the ones, that are ranked lower that we seem to struggle with.
They struggle against Rutgers plenty.
Well, yeah, sure. So we'll see if that carries over. Anything else about this Rutgers team?
Well, I just think like this is the 4-game stretch for Purdue. Rutgers on the road.
Okay.
Northwestern comes home. Away to Wisconsin. IU comes home.
Yeah. That's
Purdue sweeps those
stretch.
4. And cooking with some live grease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've still got like the toughest stretch is the final 3 games, obviously. At home, Michigan State, on the road to Illinois, home
against Wisconsin. Yeah.
Like that. If you win these 4, then you're talking Minnesota, Ohio State, Rutgers at home, Michigan. Like the next 4 are pretty easy.
A little bit of a break.
Yeah. So like you win these 4, you're going to feel you're at worst, you're going to be tied for the Big Ten with Wisconsin.
Right.
1 game left at your place. And then, 4 games that are more than winnable.
Yeah.
There's the Wisconsin game's 58% projected in Purdue's favor. Then you got an Ohio State game on the road, 76%. Everything else is in the 90s.
Wow.
For this stretch.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue did get help, obviously, last night with Northwestern taking down Illinois. Illinois now got 3 losses in the Big Ten, but Wisconsin's still sitting there just with 1, Purdue with 2. So I think this Big Ten race is hanging on a little closer for longer than I thought it would. But I'm really hoping Wisconsin and Michigan State play tomorrow. Friday as we're recording this. So I'm hoping Michigan State can hang a loss on them because
then
they're
you know
playing
where
a lot better now.
Then Wisconsin has to go to Nebraska.
Yeah, that could be tough.
Tough for them as well.
Yeah, so they've got some hard games ahead of them as well. So I think it's gonna be an interesting race as we get closer to the end here. I got one final question for you. It's not Rutgers related, but it is sports related. You're the ultimate heel, as you said at the beginning. Who's going to win the Royal Rumble on Saturday, Casey?
Royal Rumble! I'm going to be in New York City.
Right.
And I think I might be trying to find a Royal Rumble watch party somewhere.
Okay.
I think that's going to be my itinerary.
Okay.
I think it will be Gunther.
Really?
I think Gunther. I get the feeling they're going to want to put CM Punk and Cody Rhodes together in a match. Yeah. It was one of those three, but I'm going to go Gunther.
Yeah.
I also don't know as some of the other choices, but
no, I just don't know if they want to put Punk with Rollins or if they want to put him with Rhodes.
Right.
Because if they have Rollins keep the belt, they can have Punk win and him challenge Rollins at WrestleMania.
Right. All good options.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think Drew McIntyre might be a dark horse. Because like if he doesn't win, I'm not sure where else he goes story wise. So that would be my dark horse.
I like it.
So there we go, folks. Now you've got
see
everything.
The Rock.
Well, maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm here for it.
I don't know.
One of those.
It's gonna be exciting. So that's on Saturday, but Purdue on Sunday.
Very nice of them not to play at the same time.
Very nice. And also it's before the NFL playoff games on Sunday, so you can watch your Purdue game, then you can go right into the Ravens game.
You can go see Buccaneers play?
That was just rude.
Oh.
Hey, at least my team made the playoffs and won a game.
That's true.
So
did way better than Baker Mayfield should do.
Hey, I hope we re-sign Baker Mayfield. Let's bait, as they say.
Who say?
Mostly my friend Thomas and I say that.
One guy.
I think it's just the two of us.
Shout out Thomas.
There you go. So, hey, thanks for joining us, folks. We are part of the Field of 68. Make sure to like, rate, review, subscribe, click all the buttons that are going to be here in the corners. We'll see you next time. Boiler up.